Hi everyone, I'm Holly, a fantasy and sci-fi obsessed booktuber. Hopefully you clicked on this video because you are also way too in love with the world of SFF. Today I'm giving you my July reading wrap-up, essentially showing you all the books that I read in July and giving you my honest review for them, including star ratings 1 out of 5. 1 meaning the book was full of turds, and 5 meaning I will shove this book in your face constantly. I don't have a ton of books to share with you today as my July plans got a little out of whack, which I'll show you the exact book culprit here soon, but I do have a lot to say about them, so let's just get started. The first book I'm going to talk about today is actually Goddess in the Machine, and this segment of the video is sponsored by Penguin Random House. Thank you so much, who I am working with today and gave me the opportunity to own and read this first book in a YA sci-fi dystopian. Specifically, they sent over this paperback edition, which you can get now yourself. It is now available. Links will be down below for you. I did in fact accept their challenge. All of my thoughts are my own, all my honest opinions. It literally took me like 3 days to read this, I think, so it was a very fast read. Maybe because I'm so used to reading adult books that this was such a breeze. So the story itself is pretty much a typical YA plot, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but it's filled with a lot of like self-sacrifices, romances, and general angst, I guess. And it's really carried through with a plot twist and really interesting world building. The world building in this novel, especially for a debut, is, I gotta say, incredibly well done. In fact, after reading this, I was definitely like side-eyeing my electronic devices.
That's suspicious.
So at the beginning of this novel, a group of humans are cryogenically frozen for space travel. Something happens to their ship because Andra, our protagonist, wakes up 1,000 years later, the only survivor. All of her family and friends are just gone. She's now in the year 3102. The society she comes from is very advanced, but when she wakes, most of this knowledge has been lost. And the people around her interpret the tech remnants as magic and call Andra a goddess, so to speak. They literally look to her for salvation. That instantly made me so interested in this story because, I mean, in my own lifetime, I have seen computers and technology and social media rise, and there's definitely like huge shifts in culture because of it. Anyways, she is taken to a capital city within a crumbling biodome surrounded by, I guess kind of you can say like a Mad Max hellscape, basically like a desert environment. I definitely got some Dune vibes here as well. I don't know if there was any inspiration with that, but it's very interesting to watch Andra try to like piece together what pieces of her society correlate to what she sees before her and exactly how it got this way. Andra is definitely confused for most of the book. This can kind of get frustrating at times because as a reader you are also confused, but it's meant to be puzzling on purpose. The relationships here are really surprising and the twist felt legit and real. They come upon you and bring violence and bloodshed. As an adult SFF reader, I was very happy with that.
This is my genre, this is my love.
Now, some dialogue is a little unusual to get used to as it's kind of a weird futuristic take on the English language. This is actually one of my biggest pet peeves I had with the story. It was a little distracting for me at times, but also like I can't like not give credit where it's due because I was really thoughtful and not just thrown into the story for no reason. And with the future she wakes up in is so different, it showed how the English language was altered over time, and you just have to accept that as a reader. It's kind of one of the reasons why I didn't like the books of Cully, because it was written in broken English, but it was interesting here for sure. Overall, I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars. If you're looking for an MC who's been asleep for 1,000 years, an exiled prince depending on her help to reclaim his throne, and a dying planet ruled by like a vicious monarchy in need of saving, I definitely recommend giving this one a try. And lucky for you, the sequel, which is right here, The Devil in the Device, releases on August 24th, so very soon. I will leave the pre-order link down below in the description box as well, including this paperback edition of Goddess in the Machine. And thanks again, Penguin Random House, for working with me today. Okay, so let's move on to the next book that I read, and this is actually the very first book that I read in July, and that was The 12 Kings of Augharakai. Some of you have already picked it up and started reading it, and I haven't even released my like proper full review yet, so here it is. Oh shoot, I think I just did it again because I have been mispronouncing this title the entire time. It's 12 Kings of Sharakai, not Sharakai. So if you watch my July TBR, this was not a part of it. It was like July 5th and I hadn't read anything. So I told Darren, my boyfriend, to go up to my bookshelves and choose a book. I didn't care what it was, but whatever he chose, I was going to read at that very moment. And this just so happened to be what he picked. I was thrilled. I've been wanting to read this for years. And Darren's the reason why I love Joe Abercrombie so much, why he's my favorite author. He randomly picked Half a King for me to read like toward the start of my booktube channel so many years ago. And it just so happens to be kind of rare for me to read a book and not want it to end, or to feel so much in the book script that I don't even realize what page I'm on. Well, 12 Kings was one of those books for me. This is the start of a grand fantasy epic. It's a now completed series, a total of 7 very bingeable books. It's set, unsurprisingly, in the city of Sharakai, a thriving metropolis ruled by 12 sorcerer kings, surrounded on all sides by desert sands. The reader follows Cheta, who begins the novel as a gladiator in the fighting pits. We see her as she explores her future, redefines her past, and sets out to kill the kings of Sharakai and gets revenge for her people. The setting is one of the absolute stars of this book, in my opinion. The city feels like a living organism in itself, especially as we follow Cheta and some of the supporting cast around the city. I will admit it can be a bit of a slow burner, but over time layers upon layers of complexity are added, including a lot of flashbacks to when Cheta was a child, but it really builds her character, and each flashback is a literal puzzle piece. And these make the emotional payoffs all the more satisfying. Clearly gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. It's a new favorite of mine. I loved it, and it's clearly the reason why I immediately went on to its sequel, Blood Upon the Sand. So this is book 2. I'm going to review this with no spoilers, by the way. I'll make it quick. While the sequel did take me a bit longer to complete than the first one, which is normal for me. I love first books. Nothing can beat being introduced to a new world for me. It was still mostly a home run for me. It did drag sometimes. There were moments when it felt as if I were plodding along with the story, but not in like a monotonous sort of way. I love these characters in this world, so whatever. Drag all you want. Cheta grew as a character with some additional insight she gets and her new position in the world, and the story was really advanced with additional POVs that all largely worked. Also, a bunch of plot twists were met with more plot twists. Things have become a little more complex. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars, a great sequel that felt like a lot of setup compared to the first one, which is funny because normally the first book is like a lot of introducing the world and how the magic works and characters, but honestly this one really felt like the setup. But I'm excited to read book 3 to see how all of these new things we learned here probably just explode, which I will be reading in August. I'm super hyped about that. So unfortunately, those are the 3 books that I fully completed. The Song of Shattered Sands series really took over my life, and they are big worlds within thick books. Now I am in the middle of 3 books right now, which I'll mention quickly. The first one is the Pariah. I mentioned this in my previous video, so I won't be a broken record. You'll hear my full review soon, I promise, but just know I am loving it, and it's such a great thief revenge story. The writing is just so pro. This is my first Anthony Ryan book, and I could definitely see myself buying all of his books and just like binging them all because his writing is really fluid. I really like it. It really fits me as a reader. It's not clunky or anything. That's my biggest worry when it comes to reading authors I haven't read from, is their writing style, because it's really important to me. But I am doing a giveaway for this arc here on my Twitter. I'll leave it linked down below for you. But yeah, if you want to win this arc, go to my Twitter page and enter. I'm also in the middle of Chaos Factor, book 2 in the Proctorate trilogy. Yeah, the 2 books that I mentioned in my July TBR that I was for sure 100% reading, I ended up not finishing because of the 12 Kings and Sharakai. But sometimes that's just how it is. What page am I on? I think I'm still at the near the beginning. I'm on page 175. Not that great, Holly, not that great. I will be honest, I am struggling a little bit with the sequel because of my bad memory. There's an entire perspective that I totally forgot about in the first book, and then I got the love interest mixed up with the main character's father. So that was really awkward.
Okay.
and The Goblin Emperor. I set this down for other priorities, but I am really enjoying it, so I'm excited to finally finish it. So yeah, I guess that just means you will have to look forward to my August wrap-up. It's definitely going to be full of interesting books, so be subscribed if you are not. Give this video a big thumbs up for me if you really enjoyed. Leave a comment down below the best book that you read in July. I know we're a week into August already, but hopefully you can remember. And don't forget to check out Goddess in the Machine if you haven't already. The link to purchase it will be down below in the description box, and until I meet again, happy reading.